Maruf Raza, Group Consulting Editor, Lieutenant General Satish Dua, former Chief of Integrated Defence Staff, Lieutenant General Sudhir Sharma, Defence Analyst, and Captain Alok Bansal, Director, India Foundation. Maruf, to you first. How do you see the Prime Minister's speech? The Prime Minister quoted Dinkar, quoted Buddha along with Krishna, and spoke of the valor of our braves, and he says, इस देश का हर पत्थर, हर कंकड़, हर जर्रा जानता है गाथाएं हमारे पराक्रमी वीरों की. And then he also talks about the fact that expansionism is not something that can be carried out in the present day world. Was the message loud and clear to China?
Well, the message, Navita, wasn't just to China. It was for an Indian audience also, as well as it was for an international audience. You see, China and India, one of the areas where they will always have serious differences is because of their civilizational legacy and how they interpret their role in global order, global and Asia and Africa. And the second thing is that he was trying to remind the soldier on the ground, the citizen back home, like us, that the political leadership is completely in support of the military actions. There has been some criticism of the Prime Minister's earlier decision to hand over matters military to the military. I don't think there is anything wrong with it. The Indian military is an experienced, mature, and possibly the finest example of an apolitical force which doesn't have any political ambitions. And therefore, even in past conflicts, the military has been given a free hand, like Mrs. Gandhi did in '71, and the military delivered spectacular results. Whereas in 1962, which is an example which is often brought in vis-a-vis the Chinese, the military was not allowed to fight by a combination of Pandit Nehru, Krishna Menon, General B.G. Kaul, Monty Pallett, and a whole lot of others. And they interfered with tactical operations of brigade and battalion level, and we saw the mess that came out of it. So I think it is important that he took that position that he did. But there are two or three other points that I think we should take away from his message. It's important to understand that the equation between India and China has now changed. There is no going back to the talks will resolve all issues. It's a kind of hangover of the Krishna Menon era that the Foreign Office continued to follow, even after we had some serious confrontations, not just at Nathula in '67, but even later on in the last 5-6 years at Depsang's Plains, at Chumar, and various other places along the same LAC. Today it's Galwan. Yesterday it was another location. The Chinese have a very serious strategic agenda. They are not going to back off. So we'll have to get the international community to put every pressure on China.
It is going to be a long haul, but let me get in General Satish Dua. General Satish Dua, the Prime Minister's statement where he said that it's not the weak who can promise peace. So this is a show of strength. While India is not going to be, in a hurry to launch any military action, but the fact is India is not weak either. And anybody thinking that India is, not reacting or not acting in a military manner because it's weak is something that, is furthest from the truth. Isn't that the message also that the Prime Minister was trying to convey to the world community?
You are right. Not only to the world community, I think also to the nation at large. Because what we've been seeing over the past few days, over a month, the national discourse is full of the fact that when we did surgical strikes, when we could go to Balakot, why don't we do this here? This is a different country, a different border, a different set of circumstances. That was terror camps that we were striking. This is army that we are facing. And there is a set of protocols that both armies have been respecting. But this is for the first time deaths have taken place on both sides, even if shots were not fired. So a very strong message that the Prime Minister is sending out, that we have the capability, We will do what is required to be done to safeguard our territorial integrity. However, we are still engaging in talks both at military and diplomatic level, and uh, all other options will be exhausted first. But the strength of the message lies in the fact that if the push comes to shove, we are prepared, we are ready. And let me just make one more point. The prime minister, the leader of a country, when he goes to the front line and walks amongst the soldiers, our Indian Army soldiers gets so much of josh if the commanding officer comes and starts walking on the front line. So this, their morale obviously is rockets sky high. And it's not only the whole, I suppose the whole country's morale gets a big boost. And the last point I want to make is that when a prime minister goes to the front line, he gets a first-hand account. He's spoken to those men who fought in Galwan when he went to the hospital. He's spoken to commanders to take a stock of situation. It cuts out all the layers. And I think that is very important for a leader. And you will soon see the difference makes to Josh of a soldier and to our capability that will shine through. Thank you.
That's right. Very well put, General Satish Dua. And those are the visuals on the right side of your screens. And I'll just ask my director to just expand those visuals. And yes, that's the Prime Minister going to each and every soldier, wishing them, asking them, how's the Josh? An important message from the Prime Minister to the soldiers and giving the soldiers the feeling of a 1.3 billion standing right behind them, rock solid, and all they need to do is concentrate on their Josh. Well, we'll take a short break. We'll be back with more news on the other side. General Sudhir Sharma, do you think the message of the Prime Minister was lost on anyone? Because very clearly, the Prime Minister said that there were wars in the past that had occurred due to the expansionist tendencies and dreams. What we are seeing from China again is some behavior of a similar kind. What China is doing with Hong Kong, with Taiwan, in the South China Sea, and with us on the border in Ladakh is clearly the reference to the behavior of China. And isn't that the biggest warning that came in his speech that he made to our Jawans, our soldiers at Numi?
Navika, let me start by saying that the visit itself was a great initiative by the Prime Minister. The very fact that he went there is a message to China. It's a very strategic move by going to the forward areas. I must tell you, our troops are very good morale, but the very fact that he goes there.
Seem to have lost that line. Captain Alok Bansal, what did you think about the Prime Minister's visit?
See, the Prime Minister's visit was significant, and it gave a lot of messages to a lot of people. Firstly, to the troops, that the country stands with them. So they've got a message that their enthusiasm, their morale was raised. At the same time, a very important message was given to the people of Leh. Please contrast this with 1962, when the Prime Minister of the day actually gave a radio talk where he says, my heart goes out to the people of Assam. We all understand what it meant. Now the Prime Minister went to Leh and indicated it to the people of Leh that yes, we are here. We stand by you. Your security, safety is ensured. And then he made a signal whereby he indicated that Indian troops are strong enough. He praised the way they dealt with Chinese on 15th June. And thereafter, of course, he told them that you have the capability. And then, of course, he gave a signal to China where he says expansionism's era is over. Now is the era of development. And that is where he says that we need to focus more on development. I think that was a message for China as well as for international community. And you need to appreciate that these troops who are deployed in extremely inhospitable terrain really get a boost when somebody like Prime Minister goes there and meets them. And they feel that their difficulties, their troubles are being taken cognizance of. And I think this boosts their morale. And I think this visit of Prime Minister was undoubtedly a very, very big morale boosting visit for them. This also enables, Prime Minister also said that the infrastructural development which has started in last few years will continue. And now this is very, very important because this shows the stark difference from 62 to 20. Because Chinese also need to understand that India of 1962 was different. Today's India is quite different. And the fact that we have gone in for building infrastructure, and he has said that Indian troops are capable of pushing out Chinese. That's very important because we need to understand. And I think this is a single signal for countrymen. Because many
That's
people
right.
in this country
But
have been
Maruf Raza, I want to ask you and take off from the statement made by Mr. Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary. You know, time and again, the entire conversation of the opposition comes down to one basic point. Are the Chinese inside Indian territory or have they been pushed back? And, you know, that's exactly what they continue to keep asking the Prime Minister to clarify. Do you think there is any relevance of these statements in the middle of the messages that are going in the middle of our soldiers and the kind of you know, encouragement that the Prime Minister's visit has come as a morale booster that it has come as?
See, Navika, let me give you a tip. In future questioning with all the Congress apologists that often come on your show, you can ask them a straightforward question. Are the Chinese where they are because the Congress government of Pandit Nehru allowed them to come in that far? Or have these guys come marching in yesterday? Every book in history, every person I've met who has fought on those battles, and I am passionate about military history, and I am convinced by every yardstick that it was a right royal mess up by Pandit Nehru being unable to do a proper assessment of Chinese intent. Now, when somebody walks into your territory where the areas are not clearly demarcated, a bit you gain, a bit you lose here and there because of the movement of troops. But they've been there for donkey's years. So why is the Congress now suddenly getting very pained by seeing what has arrived here? What have they done in the last 60 years or more to try and resolve an unresolved issue? The first answer to that is that. The second thing is that at a time like this, they could learn a bit of lessons from Western democracies where they've picked up a few nuggets of information and a few, issues that they keep throwing up in the garb of democratic free speech. That at a moment like this, you need to stand together and you don't have to ask your government how the situation has come to such a pass. There has not been any serious territorial loss. Yes, some areas which were unoccupied have seen Chinese move in, and I see that not as a Prime Minister's fault. It is the damn fault of the intelligence agencies which have once again not been held accountable for the similar kind of mess up that they did during Kargil and slinkered their way out of the CCS rooms by saying, "Sahab, wo to baat piche ki hai, abhi aage ka dekho." What are they sitting and doing? There's a Kargil Review Committee report. They have been given a whole lot of technical information, satellite inputs. Nobody seems to have assessed that before the Chinese build-up took place. And you are asking troops who were not stationed on Finger 8 or who were not stationed on the Galwan River to say how did they come marching in. These areas were to be only patrolled. And you look at a book by Mr. Arun Shourie called Self-Deception, where Manmohan Singh's on the cover, and the congressman would do well to read that, how we continue to deceive ourselves about what the ground reality is. So much as I am not entirely apologizing for the current government, but let us be fair to our leaders. Let us give our current dispensation the necessary stance and the necessary positioning to fight back. It is well enough to raise questions in Parliament. Omission is never a crime. commission is a crime. So you have to
Absolutely.
omit that part of history.
Well said, Maruf Raza. General Sudhir Sharma, when questions are raised about the surprise visit by the opposition, when the opposition in India, because the speech of the Prime Minister, the message of the Prime Minister was as much to the soldiers, of course more for the soldiers, but to the rest of the nation as well, in terms of a nation which is in safe hands of a leadership and of forces who are working overnight and working round the clock to keep India's borders safe. And there is a leadership that is standing rock solid behind them, representing 1.3 billion people of India. But in the middle of this, the discordant note that comes in from the opposition, especially the Congress, can you recall what had really happened during the 1962 war? I mean, the war was happening, there was China making incursions into India, and where was the leadership at that time? Somebody in Sri Lanka, somebody going for a trip somewhere else, are these the people who have the right to question India's resolve today?
Navika, I'd not like to go into the political discourse which the Congress has got into it. See, the India of 2020 is a much different than the India of 1962. Luckily, we have learned our lesson.
And the new leadership is in place. And today's speech, I think, was a very statesmanlike, a very mature speech. It was not only meant for the troops on the ground, but it meant for the full world. He talks about peace. He talks about humanity. He talks about development. And yet he talks about Veer Bhogya Vasundhara, which means that he's talking about strength, and he's talking about peace. He's talking about that no place for expansionism, which is a clear message to somebody in China, obviously. And he's talking about development, creating enough diplomatic space for calls, for talks to go on, for things to get resolved, yet signaling very clearly that we have got that iron fist in the velvet glove. That exactly was the message today. He talked about infrastructure development will continue. He talked about the valor of the troops. He talked about what Indian Army is capable of. Yet he talked about peace and development. I think overall the message, like I said, was towards many constituencies, to the people in Ladakh, the people in Nimmo, the people in the world, the people in Pakistan, and to everybody. Why I think Pakistan is because, if you may recall, Nimmo was a place where 8 days he was located and won the Kargil war from the state. It's a very symbolic place where the Prime Minister has gone today. I'm so happy that he spoke from there. One of his very, very good speeches, I think. And as far as the politicians are concerned, of course, everyone will try and take something out of it. I don't think we should take account for that. We should look at it. Atmanirbhar Bharat of 2020, capable of taking on China, flexing muscles, say, we are ready to take you on equal terms. You may not like it, you may not believe it, but you're paid to see. That, for me, was the message today. I'm happy what happened today. I'm happy with the visit. I'm happy with the speech. All soldiers, everybody's happy. The nation is happy. I think we are ready to turn into peace, become a strong nation with a defensive border.
We seem to be having a little problem with your audio, but viewers, this has been a momentous day when the Prime Minister visited Leh, 11,000 feet above sea level. That's where he went and addressed in Numi all our soldiers of different squadrons, of different battalions, our Indian Air Force, our ITBP Jawans, a message to them that talks of a very formidable force which is responsible for India's safe borders and India as a country being safe. He lauded every single soldier and he said that this land, this motherland of ours, each and every particle, each and every stone, each and every drop of water in our water bodies, everybody knows the tales of valor of our forces. He saluted not just the forces, but mothers. In fact, he said 2 mothers that he recognizes today. One is Bharat Mata, and one are the mothers who give birth to our braves, who guard our borders so that everybody in this country can live safely. Let's listen in to that inspirational speech that came in from the Prime Minister. This takes you back to the Prime Minister's speeches in the run-up to the elections of 2014, and just after that. The same fervor, the same solidarity with our forces. This is the Prime Minister who spoke from his heart, trying to reach every single Indian's heart, and above all, the hearts of our soldiers, to actually imbibe in them the josh that they need when they are posted in these tough terrains in tough conditions. Let's listen in to Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
साथियों, आपका ये हौसला, आपका शौर्य और मां भारती के मान सम्मान की रक्षा के लिए आपका समर्पण अतुलनीय है। आपकी जीवटता भी दुनिया में किसी से भी कम नहीं है। जिन कठिन परिस्थितियों में, जिस ऊंचाई पर आप मां भारती की ढाल बन करके उसकी रक्षा करते हैं, उसकी सेवा करते हैं, उसका मुकाबला पूरे विश्व में कोई नहीं कर सकता है। आपका साहस उस ऊंचाई से भी ऊंचा है जहां आप तैनात हैं। आपका निश्चय उस घाटी से भी सख्त है जिसको रोज आप अपने कदमों से नापते हैं। आपकी भुजाएं उन चट्टानों जैसी मजबूत है जो आपके इर्द गिर्द खड़ी है। आपकी इच्छा शक्ति आसपास के पर्वतों जितनी अटल है। आज आपके बीच आकर मैं इसे महसूस कर रहा हूं, साक्षात अपनी आंखों से इसे देख रहा हूं।